Hello guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great and amazing. Welcome to the book club. So today we have the summary of the book Fat Chance for Robert H. Lustig. Beating the odds against sugar, processed food, obesity, and disease. Okay, so let's talk about this and let's understand this book because it's very powerful. So chapter number 1, you must understand why you're obese before knowing how to treat obesity. So, obesity is a global pandemic that shortens the lifespan of millions of people around the world. The key to treating it, however, lies in understanding why, how, and when it happens. Since it's a global pandemic, the question of where is answered. Obesity is everywhere, and it affects people of all ages. There are several why people are obese, but the most prevalent cause is the consumption of sugar. So there is a note: people consume too much sugar, which is not suitable for health. So sugar triggers and aids the accumulation of visceral fat in the body. So Dr. Lustig believes in the drastic elimination of sugar in the consumable products available to people, and that is discussed extensively. If you're looking to cut down on your weight and understand why you look so fat, then continue watching this video till the end. So there is a quote. Spodo Gupta says, if you keep on eating unhealthy food, then no matter how many weight loss tips you follow, you are likely to retain weight and become obese. If only you start eating healthy food, you will be pleasantly surprised how easy it is to lose weight. Okay, so let's move to the next chapter. Obesity is a growing problem in the world that people are not paying enough attention to. So obesity has become an issue that is reducing the lifespan of people and their productivity at an alarming rate. Despite the fact that it's always talked about in the media, obesity doesn't look like something going away anytime soon. This is because most of the food people consume have enough supplements to trigger excess fat to the body. So there is a note: obesity increases your risk of getting sicker, thereby making you prone to an early death. So there is a dangerous increase in the rate of metabolic syndromes in people, and one of the most dangerous ones is obesity. Even though obesity is not a death sentence, research shows that only about 20% of obese people live through a normal lifespan. A staggering 80% do not, and it's particularly worrying. It's worthy of note. However, that being slim or thin doesn't exclude you from metabolic syndromes. A lot of people falsely believe that being naturally slim gives them the right to eat junk and consume a lot of sugar. One thing slim people should know is that the number of and percentage of obese people is increasing every day. This means that a lot of slim people are getting obese. As a matter of fact, current projection by the United States Health Care System states that by 2030, 65% of Americans would be obese, compared to the current 55%. So, a lot of people mistake a calorie burned for a calorie consumed. This is simply not true because your caloric output is controlled by your body. The quantity of calories you burn depends on the quality of the calories you consume. Also, when you add the fact that not all the fats are the same, then you'll understand why calories cannot be the same. There are good fats and bad fats for your body. If truly a calorie taken is equal to a calorie burnt, then your body should burn the fats at the same rate, which makes the fat useless in your body. A recent survey of North American males found 42% overweight, 34% critically obese, and 8% are likely to die soon. Chapter 3. Obesity is not a choice or personal responsibility that can be gotten rid of with dieting and exercising. So you must understand, most people fear personal responsibility toward obesity. They believe obesity is the result of the faults in their decisions. This is not entirely true. While obesity can be a personal responsibility, several other factors also contribute to it that must not be ignored. Some of the factors include the fact that the major problem with obesity is that people are eating more and exercising less. The food you eat contains too much fat that cannot be burned out easily. There is simply no one to blame for obesity, as much as it's a personal or behavioral responsibility to an extent. It's a pandemic that is very difficult to get rid of. Chapter 4. Fast foods and lack of appetite control can trigger obesity. Are obesity and food addiction related? The answer to this is not definite, but there is a relationship between food addiction and obesity. A lot of people are very dependent on fast foods and sodas. McDonald's, for example, feeds over 46 million Americans with their fast foods, which means that a lot of people consume fast foods. Fast foods contain high levels of sugar, fat, and other stuff that can trigger obesity. But this is not to say that the foods are addictive. There are a lot of people who consume McDonald's foods and are not addicted. Food addiction is a possible cause for obesity, but it's not yet established if it's a primary cause. The brain is processed to crave rewards. Reward is the only reason you get up every day to go about your life. Without reward, you'll probably die because there would be nothing to live for. Reward is the reason you go to work, the reason you sleep, the reason you eat, etc. So here's a note. Fast foods are packaged to give rewards to your brain through the spices used in preparing them. Your brain can get addicted to rewards, which will, in return, get you addicted to food. So the body consists of fat cells that can be compared to balloons. When they are not filled, they remain empty and occupy less space, unlike when filled with air and they occupy a bigger space. Your fat cell is where your fat stores, and what to fill it with is very important. Insulin is a hormone in your system that regulates carbohydrate metabolism and converts the sugar in your body to fat. So the fat cell is not something you can remove or control because it's passed on to you by your mother. This is why you must understand that the fatter a pregnant woman gets, the higher the chances of her having a big or fat boy. The best way of slimming down a fat cell is to cut off the blood supply to the fat cells. So, as expected, it's a scientific process that needs numerous trials and accreditation. So Dr. Robert Lustig says, if you don't know how to cook, you're hostage to the food industry for the rest of your life, and unwittingly will pass this on to your children. So chapter number 5, being overweight doesn't necessarily mean you're obese or at risk of getting sick. So let's talk about this. So when you step on a scale to measure your weight, you measure 4 aspects of your body, of which only one is very dangerous to your health. These 4 parts are: 1. Bone. The more bone you have, the higher your chances of living longer. So greater bone density makes it easy for you to be active even when you are old. Muscle. Number 2, muscle. It's also very good to have muscles. Muscle takes up glucose and it's good for insulin sensitivity. Muscles help you to build energy, consuming compartments in your body that burns fat easily. Number 3, subcutaneous fat. This type of fat is what you might also call big butt fat. It takes up about 80% of the body fat and is very good for your health. Number 4, visceral fat. This is the dangerous aspect of weight measuring. Visceral fat is not good for your health in any way. Also called the big belly fat. It's the fat that stores in the abdomen, muscle, etc. The visceral fat is the fat that you should be looking to eliminate. The body needs fat to survive, but once the fat doesn't go to the right places, then it becomes a big problem. So the numbers are there for you to see. the fatter you are, the higher your chances of dying. You don't die of obesity per se. You die of the diseases that come with it. It's these metabolic faults that make obesity very deadly and dangerous to your health. Diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, and dementia, the thing that shorten your life, span, and kill you, collectively packaged under the scientific concept of metabolic syndrome. Sadly, while there might be suppressants, there is no pill that will eliminate all the metabolic syndromes in your body. The easiest and most rational way to reduce the effects of metabolism syndromes and their danger to the body is through the following ways. So number 1, limit a specific substrate availability. Number 2, reduce the rate at which the liver metabolizes energy. Eat more fiber. Number 4, increase your antioxidant capacity. It's not too late to start working toward having a healthier life. So make sure you eat and drink properly, exercise your body at regular intervals, and try as much as possible to live a clean life. So chapter number 6, the more carbohydrate you consume, the higher your chances of getting fat. In the old days, the first set of humans were hunters, and they relied heavily on the consumption of meat and fishes. These foods contain fewer carbohydrates, and it's one of the reasons that they were able to live very long. So note, if you want to stay healthy, you must reduce your carbohydrate intake and eat more vegetables and fruits. So there are many reasons why you should lower your carbohydrate intake. Some of them are: 1. Carbohydrate restriction helps you to improve glucose control, which is the primary target of diabetes therapy. Number 2, carbohydrate restricted diets are more effective for weight loss than any other method. Number 3, the reduction in the intake of fat and carbohydrates is very beneficial for your body because it lowers the rate at which you can suffer from heart disease. Number 4, carbohydrate restriction improves the features of metabolic syndrome. Number 5, and the last, the beneficial effects of carbohydrate restriction are independent of weight loss. You don't have to lose weight before you feel the benefits of carbohydrate restriction. Fructose is also another enabler of obesity. It's one of the most consumed elements of sugar because it's present in almost every soda and juice across the world. The consumption of fructose is not limited to any age group, and that's what makes it very alarming. You need to lower your fructose intake to the barest minimum. Fructose triggers diabetes, and it causes your insulin to misbehave in your body. Sugar is the most significant enabler of obesity in the body, and that is why you need to avoid it as much as possible. Fiber, on the other hand, is one aspect of obesity reduction that people are not paying enough attention to. The consumption of fiber speeds up bowel movement because dietary fiber cannot be converted to energy by the body, so it moves straight to the bowels. This is good in a way because the presence of fiber makes it difficult for visceral fats to accumulate in the body. Unfortunately, most of the food you consume barely contains fiber. Fiber tames your insulin when you reduce your intake of glucose, fructose, and fatty acids by improving your metabolism to make sure that fat doesn't accumulate in your body. Chapter number 7, talking about exercise, help you with weight loss because it gives you the motivation to adopt a healthy diet. So doing exercise doesn't cause weight loss, and there is no scientific data to prove otherwise. Exercise is very good for the body, but it cannot cause weight loss on its own. Exercise makes you fitter and healthier, and it helps you to build muscles instead. If you want to use exercise as a method for achieving weight loss, then you are very wrong. Exercise improves your health, while dieting is about your weight. You must understand that behavior and environment are big determinants in weight loss. When people change their environment most times, so they are alienated from their normal, usual life, which makes it difficult for them to gain weight. If you exercise daily for 3 hours, the chances are high that you won't eat anything during those 3 hours. Also, when you are done exercising, you will probably take natural fruits, water, or low-carb foods. These additional actions are the things that trigger the weight loss, not the exercise. So, here is an important note. Exercise doesn't treat obesity, but it goes a long way in giving your body that required resources to tackle obesity. So, exercise doesn't treat obesity, but it goes a long way in giving your body the required resources to tackle obesity. So, exercise is the best partner for fiber, and together they serve as the best antidote to obesity. It's better to be fat and fit than to be thin and sick. Regulate the amount of exercise you do so as not to overdo it. Exercise is not an ideal way of getting over depression because you might get addicted to it. People undervalue the importance of vitamin D, which is very effective against chronic metabolic problems. Milk contains a lot of vitamin D, but the production and sale of soda drinks has drastically reduced the consumption of milk. The truth is that people do not consume enough vitamin D. So there is a growing concern of the responsibility that several products used on babies and kids can cause obesity. These products, called obesogens, are common in girls. A lot of kids are subjected to obesogens, and because these products are very common, it becomes very worrying. So, the food industry, let's talk about that. According to the food industry, sugar is essential to the growth of the body and must be encouraged to them. Sugar adds sweetness, sugar aids browning of foods, sugar adds texture, sugar prevents spoilage. So, Yuval Noah says, obesity is a double victory for consumerism. And instead of eat a little, which will lead to economic contraction, people eat too much and then buy diet products, contributing to economic growth twice over. So you control what's in your body by controlling what you take. The only way to live a healthy life is to consume good nutrients and avoid too much sugar. So you can control your food environment through the following methods. Number 1, don't go to the grocery store hungry. Number 2, get a list of the things you need before going to the store and stick to it. Number 3, avoid reading labels on foods. Number 4, eat real food and avoid processed foods. Number 5, avoid sugar as much as possible. And number 6, eat safe carbs. So you must cultivate the habit of overlooking unhealthy foods, no matter how easy it is to access them. Cook real food yourself and add the required amount of spice or seasoning that won't trigger obesity in you. So in conclusion, the things you consume and the effect of your immediate environment on you tell a lot about how fat you can get. There is a growing rate of obesity across the world, and it's advisable to join the cause to fight it. Tackling obesity is not as easy as it seems because of determining factors like addiction to sugar and the fact that most of the food people consume have high levels of fats and cholesterol. Getting rid of these addictions requires absolute determination and patience. Sugar consumption is a big enabler of obesity, and it must be regulated sooner than later. Alongside this is the consumption of processed foods and the risks associated with it. A lot of people are at risk of living a very short life due to the things they consume. What's more worrying is that these processed foods with a high level of sugar are easy to access and cheap to buy. The government must make conscious efforts to sensitize the public about the dangers of obesity. And they must also take action to prevent a further rise in the cases of obesity. The alarming rate by which people are getting obese calls for maximum attention. Getting rid of obesity is a collective effort of the people and the government. The healthier and fitter people are, the more productive they become and the higher their chances of living long. So you can try this. Eat natural fruits, avoid soda and junk food, eat fewer carbohydrates, sensitize people about the dangers of obesity, exercise every day to stay fit. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this summary of the book and it was beneficial for you. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you all. Have a good day. See you next time.